Fix for us.
That's right. And
Yeah.
we just sit here and talk.
Yeah, we'll just talk. But, is it going now?
It's going.
Okay, right. But we had thought, because we've heard, each of us, parts of your story.
Yeah.
And
And it's fascinating.
it is a fascinating story. And in fact, we brought with us the World Atlas to see some of the places. Yeah. And so what we were hoping is that you could start from the beginning.
From youth,
From the beginning, yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in Ukraine,
Uh-huh.
Russia.
Yeah.
And at 15 years, when I was 15 years old,
Yeah.
my mother already died before.
Yeah.
So we lived 6 children without a mother. My father remarried for a second wife,
Yeah.
but to us was good, the children. We were 6 small children,
Yeah.
and my father was a rich man. And then came in the war and the revolution
Yeah.
in 1914 in Russia.
Yeah.
What year were you born?
I was born in 1905.
1905.
In 1914 broke out the World War.
What year did your father remarry?
He remarried after my mother died a year after. And when you have a stepmother, it's not agreeable.
Yeah.
Oh, it's, no.
With 6 children, not 4 children.
Yeah.
She was crazy to marry my father
That's a hard job.
with 6 small children and very poor,
Oh, very poor.
very poor.
What kind of work did your father do?
But it was normal. He worked at a factory of vermicelli, macaroni.
Macaroni factory.
Vermicelli factory.
Yeah, he worked there and he made very little money.
Yeah.
And he, but children, he knew how to make.
Children he could make. Okay.
So he had one after the other.
Uh-huh.
He needed 6 children like you need a hole in your head.
Now, what number were you?
He didn't, I was the second.
Uh-huh.
He couldn't support,
Uh-huh.
he couldn't give education, he couldn't give clothing, he couldn't give housing, he couldn't give anything.
Yeah. What
He
about
was very
love?
poor. Love he gave to the wife, not to us. All the love went to the second wife.
I see.
Because my mother, the first wife, died when she was 33 years old.
Uh-huh.
We were 6 small children.
Yeah.
I was the second. So we struggled without a mother.
Fisher, where did you grow up? Where was the town that you were?
Ukraine.
What was the name of the town?
Bershad. B-E-R-S-H-A-D. Phonetically. Bershad. This is the Ukraine.
Where in the Ukraine was it? Is it near a
Near
big city?
Kharkov, near Vinnytsia, near Odessa. A day from us traveling by train or by boat. We were in Odessa. I used to travel to Odessa every week.
Yeah.
Why to Odessa?
Why?
During the war and the revolution, 17th revolution, everything stopped. Nothing worked. It
Mm.
was a chaos. Fabrics, nothing worked. My father worked in a factory from vermicelli. He earned very little, and he didn't figure of having children, of not having children, because he doesn't know how to clothe them and feed them, educate them. But he had in mind his pleasures.
Yeah.
So his pleasures was to make children.
I see.
So he made 6 of them. He needed them like you need a hole in your head.
Yeah.
He couldn't support us, he couldn't educate us, he couldn't clothe us. He could nothing.
Yeah. So,
Then came in the war and the revolution.
Yeah, what happened then?
Nobody had anything.
Mm,
Everything stopped.
okay.
Everything stopped.
So why did you go to Odessa every week?
I was in Odessa, I was about 15, 16 years old. In our town, it's a small town in Ukraine, was lacking soil.
Salt, salt.
Soil по-английски.
Salt.
Salt,
Salt.
salt.
Salt. Oh,
We had sugar, we had a sugar factory in our town.
Ah.
yeah.
So sugar we had enough. But salt, we couldn't import it from Odessa. That was the Red Sea. The Red Sea, they had enough salt.
Okay.
So we lacked sugar. They lacked salt. So I, a 15-year-old, and then there is a revolution and war, hunger and starvation. Then what could I do? I was a merchant,
A businessman.
a businessman.
Okay.
Being that we had enough salt, and they were lacking salt,
Yeah.
but they had sugar. They had sugar.
So
We
you-
had sugar. They
It's all-
had salt.
So you would take sugar from
So
your
we took
town
sugar
to
from my
Odessa.
town and brought to Odessa, sold the sugar, bought salt, and went back with the salt to my town.
And sell it there?
Sell it there. I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
The trains didn't go, but echelons of soldiers in freight cars, they went all over. They had the trains. So I took a 40 pounds, I put 40 pounds
Sugar in a bag.
of sugar in the bag, divided it in two parts, put it on the buffer of the two cars, freight cars,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
the buffer, and spread out the sugar, and I sat down on it and went to Odessa.
Uh-huh.
It took a day or a night, and I sat at the buffer, and the two that
Riding the sugar.
coordinates the freight car.
Yeah.
And I was like going on a
Uh-huh.
horseback.
I see.
So divided the sugar in two parts, and I have two parts, and that's how I said.
It was like you were a cowboy.
It's worse than a cowboy.
And then what?
And I brought from us sugar, and Odessa was lacking.
So did you make enough money to help support your family?
No, I couldn't. I could hardly support myself.
Oh, no.
Mm.
And I went from my town with sugar
Yeah.
to Odessa, sold the sugar, and bought salt, and went back.
So eventually, it sounds like you just couldn't make a living.
I was
there.
a merchant. I was a merchant, and and there were no trains were running, only echelons of soldiers in freight cars. So I sat on the two
Yeah.
buffer. I spread the sugar, I spread myself,
Yeah.
and I went.
So Fisher, I heard a story that you told once about how it was that you came to leave the Ukraine.
Ah,
Can you tell the story? What led you to leave
can.
and how what happened?
I will. Well, let me finish the story of being a merchant,
Okay.
of going to Odessa. I went
We're
about
gonna get this with him moving.
I think. Let me see.
five, 6 times.
Yeah. That's fine.
I went to Odessa with sugar,
Yeah.
and there I bought salt from the Black Sea, and I sold it to my town. After 6 weeks, I didn't sleep normal. I didn't take off my underwear. I didn't take off my pants. So of course, I couldn't go any further. It was carrying me already. I couldn't, it carried me. So I went to the water. We had lakes in the town. So I went to the lake, it was summer, took off the clothes, put them in the water, took a stone and knocked on the clothes, and then spread them on the stone. They dried up. Then I put them on again, because I couldn't walk already. They were carrying me.
Yeah.
It was without bathing, without washing, and without changing clothes. You can imagine the situation. Just visualize.
I can.
You have to visualize.
I can also smell it.
It's hard to visualize it,
Yeah.
but to live through it, was much harder.
Yeah.
Then my father had a brother in New York. So he thought, if he'll inform the brother that he's coming, he wants to come to America, he'll immediately send him out papers, money, and he'll take him. His brother was a merchant on the street on a pushcart. You can imagine
He had no money.
how rich he was.
Yeah.
So, father came to the
Post office? Or?
no, not the post office. He took the 6 children. My mother died early. We didn't have a mother. He remarried. She didn't want to go with.
She didn't want to come.
Why should she go with 6
Right.
strange children, poor, without clothing, without food, without any future? So she remained in no town. My father came with us to the Dniester. Dniester was a river like the Hudson River,
Uh-huh.
as big as this.
And that was near your town?
A day riding
A day riding
on a horse and wagon.
on a horse and wagon?
Yeah,
So you took the horse and wagon to
I
the
didn't
nest?
think, we hired,
Okay.
and they brought us to the Dniester. And my father came to the Dniester, to the river, with 6 children, and without money, without anything. To go through from Russia, you had to pass the Dniester to Romania.
Right.
And the Dniester is as wide as the Hudson River.
Can I ask a question? On this map we have here, the Dniester is
Yes, that's long.
yeah, very long river, but
Big.
it's east.
Hashkov
It's
was the
east
by
of
town.
Romania. It's
Huh?
east on the modern map. The Dniester is east of Romania.
On this side was Russia, on the other side was Romania.
Romania.
The Dniester divided
The two
Russia
countries.
from Romania,
Uh-huh.
the 2 countries, and the Dniester is as big as the Hudson River.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
My
you
father-
wanted to cross it?
My father came to the Dniester, to that Dniester, with the 6 children. The second wife didn't want to go with him.
Yeah.
Right.
What town did you what town was there at the Dniester? Do you remember?
Rashkov,
Rashkov.
Rashkov
Okay.
Okay.
was on the Russian side.
On the Russian side?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a Rashkov?
I don't know. This is a terrible map.
Ah,
We'll
So-
find a better map.
We'll find a better map.
Find it.
yeah,
Okay.
Рашков или Жашков, Морис?
Rashkov.
Рашков, не Жашков.
Rashkov, where is that? There is Rashkov.
Ага.
Maybe this is a bad map. It may be on a better map. So,
The stepmother didn't want to go,
Yeah.
so he
Yeah.
left her. And he took us to
Rashkov.
Rashkov, to the Dniester. Thinking from the Dniester to go over the Dniester, it was already Romania, and there is a possibility to get touch with his brother.
To get in touch with his brother
With his brother in New York.
in America.
From Russia, you couldn't get couldn't
Make contact.
make connections. So he came, he took the 6 children,
Yeah,
and we came to Rashko, which is the Russian part of the Dniester, and on the other side of the river, like Jersey, was Romania.
Romania.
right.
He thought that he'll let know his brother send him money, and we'll go over the Dniester and we'll come to America.
Right.
His brother was a pushcart peddler, and he was poor. He didn't even want to listen.
Right.
So we all remained to go over the Dniester.
How would you get from one side to the other?
There were contraband, you know, contraband, people that took
Smugglers that took you at night?
at night.
Oh,
On boats.
They paid the, they knew
The guards.
the guards of the other side, and the guy, he paid off the guards on this side.
I see.
So he took us to that base on the Russian side. To get a person that brings over people at night, you have to have a lot of money. And my father didn't have that money.
I see.
So I figured to wait with my father and with my 5 brothers and sister until he gets money to take us over, pay for it, take us over on the other side, you will die there. You have to live till 100 years.
I see.
You wouldn't get that money. It was in January,
Must have been cold.
on a Sunday, very cold, snow, ice, and the Dniester was frozen. To go over there, he didn't have the money to pay.
Right.
So I figured immediately to wait here, it's 100 years wait. So I took my brother and we went to the Dniester at the end on this side,
This was your older brother?
my older brother,
Yeah.
to observe the situation.
And see if you could walk
We
across.
can walk it. I was younger, he was older,
Yeah.
and he was a truce.
He was a truce.
He was afraid,
He was afraid.
he was afraid.
And you were a little...
I was a little younger,
Yeah.
less, more,
Careful, less careful.
more nerve than
Your big
Your
brother.
brother.
huh?
Then
More
your big
nerve.
brother.
More nerve.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it is dangerous,
Yeah.
and I figured out that if I'll wait for my father, I'll die,
Die
in the
there.
nest. I came over on a Sunday morning to the nest with my brother.
Where were
At
the
night?
guards? No, this was in
The
the
guards
morning.
were going there,
Did you see the guards walking?
both ways, the Russian guards and the Romanian guards. But they couldn't stay in one place, it was very cold,
It was too
so
cold.
they had to walk.
I see.
I saw one walks this way, and one walks this way. So they went with the backs to us.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I went in yesterday, and I go, and I see that the ice
It's firm.
holds
Well,
up, it's strong. Go further, further, further. My brother was a coward, he was afraid to go. And he remained, he saw while I'm going, and step by step, I went over the Dniester to the Romanian side.
At night or in daytime?
No, daytime,
Daytime.
it was in the morning.
And nobody was shooting at you, nobody...
Or they didn't see it. This one went this way, I had this back. And this one went this way, I had this
This
back.
back. So you went between.
Between the backs. Went
How
to-
long did it take you to go across the river?
You can imagine how long it should take to cross the
Hudson River on the
Hudson
ice.
So maybe
Half an hour?
10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
Were you scared?
Not at all. I went at a time, tried with my foot, but the ice doesn't break.
Mm.
And it did break. And I went. My brother was afraid, so he remained. So I went on the other side,
And you couldn't call him because the guards would hear.
or I got over on the both sides.
Yeah.
How can I call him?
Yeah.
He saw me, he was near me. I saw him, he saw me going and knocking on the ice. with the food. Every time fighter, until I reached the end.
Yeah,
He was afraid.
yeah. So what did you do when you got to the other side?
I got to the other side, I was looking to find a Jewish face.
But was there a city there on the other
Oh,
side?
Rashkov, a big city.
Well, Rushko, I thought was the Russian
Rashkov was
side.
on this side, the other side was also Vodrashkov.
Vodras. So there was a,
So when I went over,
Okay,
I don't think you'll have it on the map. It's a very small town.
okay.
uh-huh. So you got over and then there was a street there.
There was a street and people were walking. I looked for a Jewish face to whom I could speak.
Yeah,
I didn't know any other language. This is Romania.
yeah.
Finally, I found a Jew, a Jewish face. I came over to him and I told him, "You speak Yiddish?" He says, "Yes." I just went across the distance. I have not a penny in my pocket. I have no money. I have no relatives. I am, as you see me. Can you help me? Sure. Took me into the house and fed me a few days. Then I figured there is no plan to say this. It's a small
A
town.
small town.
What can I do here? So I asked him to bring me to the rabbi. Then in my mind that the rabbi could help.
Mm-hmm.
Took me to the rabbi. I came to the rabbi and I said, "Listen, I just crossed the yesterday. I have nobody here. My father, the children, my family are already in Kishinev. Kishinev was in Bessarabia, Romania, and on the Romanian side.
So you told him
Told
the
the
rabbi a lie.
Allah,
You told the rabbi a
a
lie.
white lie,
A white lie.
white lie.
Okay.
That I have a family in Kishinev. And I remained here, I just crossed the...
You didn't feel bad about telling the rabbi a lie?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He says, "Transfer me to my family. I want to go to my family, but I haven't got the money."
Okay.
The rabbi hired a sleigh.
Yeah.
It was a winter. Wow. And he put me on the sleigh, and he paid for the travel, and the driver took me to Kishinev.
Kishiev is a town in Romania.
Kishinev.
Kishinev.
Yeah.
Was Romania.
It's a big
Now,
town.
Ah,
now
now it's in
Chisinau-
Russia.
Now it's
Yes,
Russia.
now.
Kishinev,
now.
aha, okay,
Yeah, Russia took
Yeah.
over
Okay.
Bessarabia.
right.
So how long-
Moldavia,
Moldavia,
Yeah.
yeah.
Moldavia.
Now Moldavia.
Yeah,
Was
now Moldavia.
Romania.
Correct.
Okay.
okay.
Now, how long a ride was it to
From
Kishinev?
I'll show you, it's on the map here if you want to see.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll find later. How long a ride in the horses?
a whole day.
A whole day?
All day. It was winter, cold.
Yeah. Did you have a warm jacket?
I had a jacket, but it was warm. Remember, certainly not.
And
Why you passed the
why did you want to go to Kishinev? What made you
was
think I should go to Kishinev?
Kishinev was a center city, and thousands and thousands of refugees came to Kishinev because they couldn't get to their relatives in America, in Mexico, in Argentina, Uruguay. They couldn't get Dutch from Russia, only from a European country.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Kishinev was a European city. So to Kishinev came in a lot of refugees,
Uh-huh.
thousands. There was a HIAS, here too, the American Joint Distribution Committee. You never heard of it. It's a Jewish organization, joint, of rich Jews. They organized to help refugees,
Come.
poor Jews, come and transport them. They pay for transporting. Joint Distribution Committee still exists. They helped hundreds of thousands Jewish refugees to go to America, to Mexico, to Uruguay, to Argentina. They paid for all this because they were rich Jews and they wanted to help, and they organized to help Jewish people,
Mm,
especially refugees.
yeah. So what did you do when you got to another strange city now.
When I told them that in Kishinev,
Yeah,
it's a big city, and I had there already my family,
yeah,
and I had no money to transport myself. So he hired a sleigh, he transported me.
right.
Kishinev was hundreds of thousands of refugees there already. And there was the Hayas, the Hebrew Aid Society, still exists in New York. And the Joint Distribution Committee still exists, of rich Jews, organized to help poor Jewish refugees and immigrants.
Right. So you got to Kishinev.
I
Now
told
what?
the rabbi that in Kishinev I have my family.
Right.
He should transport me. He put me on a sled, sent to Kishinev.
Okay. So,
Kishinev was existing a Ukrainian committee.
yeah. How did you live in Kishinev? How did you make a living there?
Yeah, I didn't make a living.
You didn't?
At first I came, Kishinev was organized already, the American Joint Distribution Committee,
Mm-hmm.
to help Jewish refugees. So they had a big wooden home to sleep, and they
Gave food.
food and clothing. They did everything for us. In Kishinev, I ate in that
In the shelter?
In that shelter,
in
yeah.
that shelter. And clothing they also gave us.
They gave you clothing.
Clothing. And I became a newspaper boy to earn a living. So I found out where are the addresses of the newspapers.
Yeah.
I bought the newspapers and read over the streets and yelled that I have this paper. Also,
You had many newspapers.
two, three.
3 newspapers.
Two Romanians, one Russian, and one Jewish, 4.
Okay.
So, and I ran over the streets and yelled that all the names of the newspapers that I have, and people heard it. They wanted to buy newspapers. So they said, paper boy. So I came home, they bought the newspapers, and I made a living. I lived in the house there,
The shelter.
shelter. Food they gave us in the shelter. So all the money
You saved.
I saved. I did that. Then
How long did you work at that job for?
I was in Romania 4 years,
4 years. And
Wow.
were you a newspaper boy the whole time?
all the time. Then there came hundreds of thousands of refugees from Russia, from Poland, and Kishinev had a committee, an organization that helped to transport all these refugees that were Romanian to their relatives in the United States, in Mexico, Uruguay, in Brazil, Argentina, those who had
Right.
connections. They transported them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a connection?
No, I have nobody.
So what happened to you? How did you get out of Kishinev?
Oh, then meanwhile they fed us. As long as we were
Right.
in Kishinev, they fed us. But they were transporting them in the various countries. They got in touch, the highest.
And you wanted to go too.
I had nowhere to go. I wanted to go. The Hebrew Aid Society helped them transport.
Right. But did you get to know somebody there that helped you in
Yeah.
Kishinev?
Yeah, when I sold newspapers,
Yeah.
the director of the Hebrew Aid Society
Okay.
used to buy newspapers for me.
Ah.
Oh.
And he saw a small boy, a Jewish boy. He spoke Hebrew. I spoke to him Hebrew. He sees I'm educated, I'm lively. And he said, you know what? Come up in my office and you'll work in my office. So I became already an employee of that of the
Aha. What did he have you do? What sort of job did you do for him?
on errands, go to the post office. Just that, not such a, yeah. Anybody could do it.
Right, but he liked you.
He liked
He
me,
was being kind to
and he
you.
paid me salary, and I could live. And I was a mensch. I was a year.
Yeah.
Then, Romania already, the Joint Distribution Committee in the highest, there were Hebrew institutions to help Jewish refugees.
Right.
Right.
Now, when you
But they
were,
expedited everybody. Then came a doctor, what's his name? A doctor from Berlin, from the Jewish community, to investigate the situation of the refugees in Romania.
Mm,
There were some left, they didn't have where to go. Those who had relatives
Had
in
gone.
these countries, he expedited them, the highest, and the joint expedited. Those who didn't have, stayed in Romania, they didn't
Like
have to
you.
go.
Like you. And this German doctor, what did he do
A
then?
German doctor came to investigate the situation of the refugees. And being that I was, he bought for me newspapers, so I got him and I told him the story of my life, and I know where to go. He said, don't worry, I'll take care. And he bought a ticket for me to Halifax, to Canada. He
mm,
made me a passport to Romania. I didn't have any identification, no birth certificate, nothing. So he made a passport for me in Romania and bought a ticket, and he sent me to Halifax,
a ticket on
Canada.
what?
To Canada,
How did you travel?
by train,
By train.
4 days.
Where did you travel on train? From Kishinev to
Kishinev
where?
To Halifax.
To Halifax.
Halifax is a Canadian.
How did you get from Romania
But
to
you-
Canada?
You couldn't go all the way on train. You have to cross the Atlantic Ocean.
It wasn't the Atlantic.
No?
I don't think it's the Atlantic. Maybe the Atlantic.
But you had to go across some water.
I
Did you take a boat?
No. From Russia to Romania.
No,
From
no.
Romania.
From
Romania was
From-
easy. He bought me a ticket, and I went on a train
Uh-huh.
to Halifax, to Canada.
Okay. Okay. Now, at this
I
time...
came to Canada. Oh, there was also a part of the hire of the Hebrew Aid Society to help Jewish refugees.
Right.
So I came to that offer, and I said, I just came over, and my family is in Kishinev, and I have no money.
Right. Now, when you took the train and you ended up in Halifax.
Halifax,
Now, in Halifax, this is in Canada.
Canada. Oh, far away Canada.
Did you know anybody there?
Nobody.
What happened when you got to
I
Halifax?
looked for a Jewish face.
You did.
I did, and I found a Jewish face, and I told him I just came, and I have no money and nowhere to be. So he took me into the house.
I see.
He fed me.
Now, how long did you stay in Halifax for?
In Halifax, I didn't stay long, because I came to the Hebrew Aid Society,
Yeah.
and I told them all my family are already in Kishinev, and I remained here. You have to transport me there.
Uh-huh.
So he hired a sleigh, and he paid for it, and on the sleigh,
Okay.
I went to
Now,
Kishinev.
when you
When I
were...
came to Kishinev,
Right. No, but
I
let's...
had already where to go.
Right. Okay, so, but after you went, then after that, you ended up in Halifax,
Halifax was
in Canada.
Canada.
And then after you were in Halifax, did you come directly to New York? Or did you go to another city in America?
No, I came to another American.
Was it Detroit?
Detroit, I came to Windsor.
Windsor,
Windsor is,
right.
is a Canadian city.
Right,
Detroit is a
American city.
American city. So I came to Windsor.
Okay, so how did you get from Windsor
Windsor
to Detroit?
To Detroit. Detroit, Windsor is on this side
Yeah.
of the Jester. And
No,
Detroit,
it's not
No, no, no.
Augusta, it's the Ontario River, I think.
Ontario.
Or
No,
the Detroit River it is.
Detroit River.
Yeah,
I came to Windsor.
yeah. You went to Windsor, And now,
I
in order to
did.
get to Detroit,
What did you do?
you need an American passport.
I didn't have.
You didn't have it.
But a boat was traveling between Windsor and Detroit,
Ah.
Windsor. Every citizen had an ID card.
Okay.
So I see the boat is going there and back. So I was in Windsor. I went on the boat and I came to the Detroit side. Then I thought there was you couldn't pass, you had to go through examination, immigration examination. And I came through and I told the man that I'm going to Detroit for the night, I want to see a movie. He didn't believe me. And I had no passport, so he told me to go back on the boat, to go back to Windsor. If I would listen to him and wait until I go to Windsor, Windsor wouldn't let me in. I didn't have a passport. Didn't have an ID, what to show. So I would have to travel between Windsor and Detroit.
For the rest of your life.
Windsor. They wouldn't let me off.
Nobody would let you
Nobody
in.
would let me in.
So how did you get into Detroit?
I saw the boat, I was in Windsor. I see the Detroit, the boat goes to Detroit. So I went on the boat,
Yeah.
and a nickel had to put in a turnstile, a nickel. So I put in a nickel, and I went over. I came to the Detroit border. Of course, there's immigration officers. You have a passport, an ID card. But I have nothing. You know, I go back.
So how did you get around immigration?
How did you get around it? What did you do to get past the guard at
Yeah.
Detroit?
I see that Detroit people go to Windsor and they throw in a nickel in the turnstile turns this way and they go into the boat. So I figured to myself, if you give a nickel, if you put in a nickel in the turnstile goes from right to left, why should it go from left to right? So I went over to the turnstile and I tried. I was already at the border. They put me back on the boat to go to Windsor,
To go back, yeah.
go back.
So you tried to go through the turnstile.
So I sit there and when they put in a nickel and the turnstile goes right, why should it go left? So I went and I came over, they told me to go back to the boat and then back. So I went over to the turnstile and I said, I want to go this way, not from right to
Yeah.
left.
Uh-huh.
Did it work?
It worked. And I went into Detroit.
And there you were in
There in
Detroit.
Detroit.
Wow.
Without the examiners. Examiners put me already on the boat to go back. He was through with me. And I wasn't through with him.
So how old were you now when you got to Detroit?
15.
No. No, you must have been older. Didn't you spend 4 years in Romania?
In Romania, I went 4 years.
Yeah.
So you must have been more than 15.
So when you got to Detroit, you must have been maybe 19 or
Yeah.
20?
19.
Yeah.
Ah,
And then now you didn't want to stay in Detroit, did you? Didn't you want to go to New York?
When I was in Detroit,
Yeah.
my brother, my mother had here a sister. So my brother, the older brother,
Yeah.
was also Romanian. So he got in touch with them and they sent him papers and he came to America.
He did.
He was already in Detroit.
He was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so he beat you here. Your brother got here before you.
Before me, a lot before me.
He did. So when you got to Detroit, you looked for your brother.
I sent him a telegram from Windsor
Yeah.
that I am in Windsor, that I was just went over to Detroit in the highest. So he sent me $25. I bought a ticket for $18 and I went on a train from
Detroit.
Detroit to New York.
Ah.
He was in New York.
He was in New York.
Ah.
And he sent you the
I
money.
came to New York with $7.
Uh-huh.
A very rich man.
Fisher, can I ask you a couple questions about
Sure.
Russia before we finish to keep talking? I thought I remembered the last time you told this story, a piece of the story, maybe on the sleigh, maybe somewhere else, where somebody had to hide under a blanket.
No.
No.
But I went from Windsor to Detroit Detroit, we had to go through a bridge. And on the bridge was a patrol and asked for identification cards. Being that I didn't have any identification cards, I asked the driver to give me
The reins.
yes, that I'm the driver. And he was a
Canadian?
Gentile,
Uh-huh,
and he was dressed like a goy.
yeah.
So he gave me the horses, and I was the driver. And the inspector doesn't bother with the driver, he bothers with the passengers. So he didn't bother me, I didn't bother him. After we passed by the bridge, I gave back the lady. The wagon, the horse. You be the driver, and I was the guest.
That's great.
That's how I went through.
Where did that happen? Where did that happen? That you switched with the driver?
Yeah.
Was that on the way to
Detroit.
Kishinev? Oh, that was on the way to
Detroit to Kishinev. From Detroit to Kishinev was easy to go.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The hardship was from Russia to come to Romania.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Mm.
So, go to New York?
I had to maneuver, and I don't know where did I get the nerve,
Chutzpah.
the chutzpah to maneuver around with
With the guards.
the guards and be smarter than them.
And you were smarter than that.
Yeah. I had one more question. I wanted to ask about pogroms also and see if you had any experience with that. Or do you want to just go?
Okay, it's just
Yeah.
hard to go back and forth.
No, I think that's true.
So
Okay,
let's
so let's
go
go.
to New
Go.
So, now you've been to Windsor, you've been to Detroit.
Yeah.
Your brother sent you the money for the ticket,
$25.
$25,
For $18 a ticket and $7 capital, I came to New York.
and you came to New York. And who did you find in New York?
My brother, my mother had a sister,
Uh-huh.
so we lived with our,
Where did you live?
in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn?
Tatford Avenue.
Okay. And what was your brother doing then? Did he have a job?
My brother had a job, he worked,
Yeah?
jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And I came on Sunday, and Monday I was already working in the factory.
Oh, wow.
But
What
that
time?
skill, I had to go around, take away, go errands. I didn't have any profession.
Uh-huh. And how long did you work there?
Yeah, I worked a long time.
Yeah.
And then it was Detroit.
Now then in New York, you're working in this factory for a
Yeah.
long time. Did you get an education in the U.S.? Did you ever go get,
In New York, when I came to New York, I became a newspaper boy.
no, New York, you said you said in New York you were working in a factory.
In a factory without skill, I
Yeah.
did have skill.
Yeah.
So I carried packages, I went there, and so I did
Uh-huh.
What kind of factory was it?
a factory from pocketbooks,
Ha.
pocketbook factory.
Oh, okay.
Was the factory in Brooklyn also?
No, only in New York.
The factory was in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So you. And you, how many years did you work at the pocketbook factory?
That I don't remember, it's too a long time.
Mm.
Too a long
Now,
time.
now then when you came to New York, when did you met your wife here? In New York?
I met my wife from New York, of course.
Yeah. Where did you meet her?
On an excursion we had a lot of refugees,
Yeah.
and we made excursions to Bear Mountains
Uh-huh.
on a boat on a
Mhm.
Sunday. Somebody hired the boat,
Okay.
and people went for excursion for the day.
Yeah.
So they went Sunday morning, came back Sunday night.
And that's where you met.
That's what I met. There where I met. But I was young, she was young.
How old were you?
In Detroit. I was-
No, when you met your wife, when you
Yeah.
met Clara, how old were you? On the
Must have been 19.
yeah,
She was the same age.
she was the same
Or a
age.
year or younger.
Yeah. And did you know that you wanted to marry her right away?
I didn't know anything. We went for 4 years, we kept company.
You did. Where did she live?
She lived in with her mother, with her family,
Yeah.
and I lived separate, but her mother liked me very much.
Uh-huh.
She became my mother too.
Uh-huh.
She became my mother.
And
I,
and where would you
I
take her?
was
You
glad I needed someone of family.
Ah. Ah.
Did you sound, it sounds like you kept your relationship with your older brother. Did you ever see any of your younger brothers and sisters again?
No, they remained in Russia with my father. My father also came to the nest on the
Yeah.
on the Russian side, and he wanted to take them over also on the ice, like I did. So he was caught by the Russians, by the Bolsheviks.
Oh.
And he was arrested, he was sent to Odessa, and the children were sent to Kharkov in a children's home.
Okay.
So the father didn't know where the children are, where the children are. The children know where the father is. I didn't know where my father is, where the children are. Nothing. After 4 months keeping them in the children's home, the institution found out that I have a grandfather and a grandmother in my hometown.
Yeah.
So they transport the children back to the grandfather.
Okay.
After 4 months, my grandfather was very surprised. He thought we were in America and we were cutting money already. All of a sudden, he receives for small children.
No money, but 4 children.
Four children.
Children.
Wow. Wow. And you learned this from your older brother when he came. You learned that story from your older brother when he came to America. And when you
No,
saw him? How did you find out what happened to your younger siblings?
they were in Russia all the time. My father left them and he went to Canada.
Uh-huh.
And when he became a citizen, they were all the time with my grandfather. When he became a citizen of Canada, he had the right to bring over children. So he took them over to Canada.
Ah,
He brought them
I
over to
see.
Canada.
they all came over.
All 4.
Uh-huh.
So everybody ended up in America, or in North America, I should
North
say.
America.
Yeah.
But they wanted also to come to America. So they went to America with my father. They went over to go over the nester.
Into America, to come to America.
So they were caught,
Coming into America?
yeah, and sent into a home, the children's home.
In Canada?
Yes, my father was arrested and he was in jail.
Oh, no.
Nobody knows where he is. He didn't know where they are. I didn't know where they are. We all were spread out.
Oh, boy.
That's the saga of a life.
When your father came with the 4 children to Canada, did you see them in
He
Canada?
didn't come to Canada.
Oh.
He came to Canada. And when he was there a few years, he had the right to bring over children. So he
Brought them.
brought them from Russia. They were with my grandfather.
Yeah.
Did you ever see your brothers and sisters in Canada? Did you ever see them there?
No,
No, you never got to visit them in Canada.
Did you ever get to see your father again?
yeah, later on.
Yeah. Where did you see him?
I came to Canada. I was already an American citizen. I had the right to
Go to Canada and
Canada.
visit.
I smuggled into America.
Right.
But after a few years, the United States issued a decree that all those illegal immigrants can register and become American citizens.
I see.
So I went to the Hires, to Ellis Island, and I said that I smuggled in a refugee, and they made me for a citizen.
I see.
They gave me new citizenship papers. So I was a czar,
Then you could travel any place.
any place. With the, that's what
And
American
no
does.
more sneaking here
more
and
sneaking
sneaking
there.
there.
I went to Windsor when I became a citizen here, and I got my passport. I was so happy. So I went to Windsor to show the people that I was with there when I was illegal, to show them
Your
now I
passport.
have a passport and I am an American citizen. I'm not afraid.
What a wonderful story.
Where-
Морис, вы рассказали, как вы учились в Америке, что вы приехали и закончили здесь тоже колледж, что вы учились?
Where I did my education.
Yeah,
I was here selling papers, newspapers.
yeah.
So the director,
No. But where did,
Go.
no, where did you get your education? Where did you go to school?
In America.
In
in
America?
America, in Russia, I went to
No, right.
in America, there was a Jewish teacher seminary.
Okay.
I joined went in there 4 years time. Daytime I worked, in the evening I went to school from 6 to 10, and I finished the seminary to be a Hebrew Yiddish teacher.
Mm.
That was my diploma.
Mhm.
And I worked, went to school in the evening, worked during the day. That's how I was existing.
I see. And did you ever work as a Hebrew Yiddish teacher?
As soon as I got my diploma from the school to become a teacher, the organization that kept up the schools
Yeah.
took me in to work in the office.
Okay.
So I didn't have to work as a teacher, but I worked for the teachers,
I see. As an administrator?
administrator.
Okay.
And did you work at that organization for many years? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 40 years.
For 40 years. And what organization was that?
It's still existing. Jewish National
This is
Workers'
the,
Alliance,
And it was a Zionist organization?
all Zionists.
Yeah. And as part of your job for them,
Part of my job was to answer letters. Or we had branches all over the United States,
Mhm.
to visit the branches, and to organize tours with Jewish artists to go all over the country in Canada to play. A group of 5 artists, and we had branches all over the United States. So I organized tours for the artists to give concerts in those cities.
Okay. And was that a way to raise money?
No, to cultural activity.
Cultural activity?
Only cultural, not for money.
Okay.
Money was a different department,
I see.
to raise money for the city.
Okay. So your department was to spread culture?
Culture and education.
Mhm. And what sort of music did they play, these musicians that you went around with?
Oh, they were professionals.
Yeah.
We hired them, we paid them, and they went around and gave concerts in 40 cities.
40
And the
cities?
40 cities paid the money to us, and we paid them wages.
Okay,
And I organized it and I led it.
okay.
Here on, here on, here on.
And you would go to the 40 cities with them?
No, I was only for a few,
Uh-huh.
with a few. Once they are on their way,
Yeah.
so I gave them the itinerary, and I wrote to the places, what date they will be there, they should pay them in checks, and the checks went to me, and we paid them wages.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Can I go back to learn some more about the early history? You think we can?
I think it's difficult to go back.
You can go back
We can try.
any place you want.
I'm curious, Fisher, when you were a young boy
Yeah,
and you lived in Russia,
yeah.
whether you lived through any pogroms,
When
whether you lived through any pogroms,
all the programs of Russia I lived through.
can you talk about them? How do you what do you remember about them?
There were chaos in Russia. There was a Russian Revolution. There was a Tsarist army. There was another army, Tidikin. There was another army, Petlura. There was another army. All these armies fought among themselves because there was chaos. There was revolution Some wanted the Tsar, some wanted this, so there was a chaos over there. All this time. No peace.
Yeah.
Mm.
And do you remember, though, any Jewish families who were mistreated during this time?
Because they were Jewish?
In pogroms, there were bands. 20 Kirshers, young fellows,
Kilshas.
Hooli.
Cossacks?
hooligans, young boys, organized themselves and went into the small towns to rob them, get money, kill, everything. And nobody could tell about it. Nobody could do anything. So when they came into a town, everyone was hiding.
Mm.
And they killed and they went into the houses and robbed. There was an anecdote, a joke about this too. All the young girls, the young women, used to hide because they killed the soldiers.
Yeah.
They were hungry, and like a soldier, you have to tell them. So the women, when the band came in, the pogroms came in the city, the women hide themselves. They couldn't find them. Otherwise they raped them, they killed them.
Yeah.
One old woman said, I'm too old, I'm not afraid, I'm not hiding, I'm not afraid. What are they going to do to me? They need old women. They want young girls. But a soldier remains a soldier. They were hungry for women. So they raped that old woman.
Oh.
A few soldiers raped the woman. On the following day, the young women were hiding. They couldn't find them. On the following day, the old woman went out in the street. He saw the Jewish people already after the pogrom. He says, tell me please, when will there be another pogrom?
She liked it.
She liked it. She asked for another pogrom. The young women were hiding, and she said, I'm not afraid. What am I going to do to an old woman? But for a soldier, an old woman is also good.
Now,
And she asked for a pogrom.
yeah. Now, did your family suffer because of the pogroms at all?
There isn't a question of my family. All the Jewish families suffered from the pogroms.
They did.
They robbed them, they killed them, they took away all their
Uh-huh.
what they had. They were hiding wherever they could. And that old woman I told you didn't hide.
Yeah.
She wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
And she wanted another pogrom.
Yeah.
In the town where you lived in Russia as a child,
Yeah.
did you live in a Jewish town? It was a town that was only Jews?
Only Jews.
Only Jews. Was it part of a larger town that had Russians in it, or was it a small town that was only Jews?
Not far from us were Russian population.
Aha.
But we were only Jews in the
Was it a shtetl?
shtetl.
It was a shtetl.
We had 15,000 Jewish population
Oh, it was a big shtetl.
in my shtetl. It's a big shtetl.
And were most of the people in the shtetl farmers, or did most work in factories like your father?
No, merchants, workers,
It was an
Trade-
urban. It was an urban community.
urban community.
Yeah.
There were stores, there were everything.
Were there prosperous Jews living in your community, or was everybody poor?
You couldn't say everybody poor. There were rich people too. And mostly were poor. Mostly were poor.
Were you religious when you lived there? Did you go to temple every week, or was it not? Was your family not so?
When I was young, I used to go to the temple. When we were older, we were smart, we started not to go,
You had better things to do.
of course.
What would you do?
To look to eat.
Uh-huh.
It was a big job.
Mm.
To live, to sustain.
Interesting.
Well, this is quite a story.
Only a European boy, during the war, during the revolution, and during the pogroms, could live through that time. Normally, you can't see it, you can't hear it.
No. No, there's not too many people who have a story
No.
like yours.
No. Those already gone.
Yeah,
They don't remember.
yeah.
God gave me years to live that long, to remember, to tell the story.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Now, have you ever been back to Russia since you left?
yes.
When did you
I
go?
went to Russia.
When did you go back?
I had left to look at my passport. I have the passport.